Hello friends and welcome. Happy June. That means happy Pride Month, happy Juneteenth, happy Father's Day, happy summer. So many things happening in June. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm so glad you're here. If you're new here, my name is Becca. This channel is all about my love for knitting, spinning, weaving, crocheting, sewing, all the fiber things. I invite you to grab whatever project you have on the go and join me. Let's make some stuff. I'll start today with what I'm wearing. This sweater is a sweater that I made hand knit about 15 years ago now, so quite a while ago. I don't remember all the details, but it is a bamboo blend yarn that I bought at one of the big craft stores, either Hobby Lobby or Michael's here in the US. I think over the 15 years this bamboo yarn has held up really well, but this is the first sweater that I made without a full pattern. I saw a photograph in an ad in one of my knitting magazines and I thought I could make that. So this is a sweater that I started knitting in the round on this lace panel all the way down, knitting from the bottom up. The lace panel came out of a pattern motif book that I had, and then I did a few rows of garter stitch and started for the plain stockinette stitch crossover design that I then split and knit back and forth and picked up some additional stitches along the crossover, and then did a slanted decrease v-neck around. I love this sweater and I wear it quite frequently, and so I feel like it's really held up well considering how old it is now. So that is my bamboo crossover sweater. I am so excited today to be able to share with you my finished Orange Albertine Jacket from Sidsel Høivik. This has been my winter project, and before we get into the reveal of the final garment, I did want to talk you through the process a little bit and just sort of review what I've been working on over these last several months. So this is a kit that I bought from Sidsel Høivik, who is a knitwear designer that I follow on Instagram. She has amazing garment patterns that all have, beyond just beautiful knitting, additional embellishments of embroidery and beads and tassels and all sorts of things to make them super snazzy. So I will put links to her website where you can get this kit and any others down in the description box below. This is not a sponsored video. I did purchase this with my own money. But I highly encourage you to follow Sidsel and try out some of her knitting patterns. They are incredible. So this is the Orange Albertine Jacket. The kit comes with the pattern, which is very thorough and comprehensive. The pattern itself is about 7 pages with lovely photography, and then there are 5 pages of color charts. It is a stranded colorwork pattern cardigan from Norway, so Norwegian style. The primary colors are white and orange, and then as you can see behind me there are several other shades of orange and terracotta, plus a little pink that you include to just make the whole thing pop. The kit comes with everything you need. It comes in multiple sizes, small to triple extra large. That fits, I'm going to read it off the pattern so I give you the right measurements. The small is bust about 86 centimeters, 33 3/4 inches. The 3XL is 124 centimeters or 48 3/4 inches. So quite a nice size range, not completely size inclusive, but quite a nice range there. I bought the biggest size kit so that I would be sure to have plenty of yarn, not knowing how it was going to knit up with the swatching. So I went ahead and bought the biggest size so that I would have plenty of yarn, and you see I finished the sweater and I have plenty of yarn left over for another project. I ended up actually making the 2XL, so not the biggest size, so I had plenty of yarn left over. This is 100% Norwegian wool. It's sort of a DK weight yarn that is 2-ply. Yes, 2-ply. And it's quite sticky, likes to stick to itself, so really nice for this cardigan, which requires a steek down the front. And we'll talk about that process here in a little bit. So that's the yarn, that's the pattern. The pattern comes with everything you need, including buttons, and in this case, beads and sequins. So you have everything in the box that you need to make this full kit, including the pattern. I bought this kit New Year's Day 2023, so over a year ago, and the shipping, I think I spent a little over $100 US on the kit itself, and then shipping from Norway was incredibly reasonable and fairly quick. I think I got it maybe early February, maybe still in January, but I was in the middle of another complicated knitting project at the time, so I didn't want to get it started. I'm not... I am somewhat of a monogamous knitter, so I knit one project, especially if they're really complicated projects. I might have a second project that's easy, like socks, that I can take with me, but I don't typically have lots of works in progress going at the same time. So I set this box aside, of course, after looking at it and squishing all the yarn. I set the box aside for several months, and I actually didn't get started on the knitting until winter. This was my winter project. So middle of December last year, I did the casting on, and this has been certainly a labor of love. The project from casting on to full completion took me about 5.5 months, but it was completely worth it. So today I want to obviously reveal the finished object, but before we do that, I'm going to walk you through some of the process. I've made a few videos on this as well, but I just wanted to start from casting on all the way through so that you have that all in one place. So we'll start with the knitting. Again, I started the knitting in the middle of December, and this sweater is knit in the round from the bottom up for the body, all in one piece, all the way to the shoulders. Then the sleeves are knitted separately, and those are sewn on, and then all of the finishing. The body, the whole garment is primarily knit in these two main colors, white and orange. So the stranded color work is actually fairly simple in terms of the color work because you're just working with two colors for the entire thing. The pattern, the all-over pattern, is this sort of snowflake design, Norwegian star. I think it's the Norwegian star. Just continuous all over the garment. And I did finish the knitting in winter, so it took me about 3 months to do all of the knitting. And then the steeking and finishing took me the rest of the time of working on this project. And I had no idea how long that would take to do all of the finishing, but I was actually surprised it went a lot faster than I expected. So a steek, if you've never done this was actually one of the scariest parts of knitting this style of sweater for me, because you knit this intricate garment, beautiful garment that has taken you months to do all of the knitting, and then you take scissors to it and cut it, which is terrifying. So this wasn't the first steek that I had ever cut, not the first sweater that I've made like this, but every time I do it, it still causes me anxiety. So if you haven't done it and you're struggling with the fear of steeking, I would encourage you to do a test steek, or several, with swatches. So just knit yourself a tube with all of the process of steeking. Knit yourself a tube swatch that you then prepare the steek and cut the steek, and just do that as many times as you need to get used to the process. So a steek is planned into the knitting process. So usually you will knit a few stitches of where you're going to cut in sort of a checkerboard pattern with the different colors so that they're nice and connected with one another. You then stitch or sew up either side of your cutting line, either by hand or with a machine. I actually did mine with a zigzag stitch on my sewing machine. And then Once everything is prepared, you then cut in between those lines of sewing, and that turns your tube into a flat object. That does leave you cut edges, raw edges of your stitches, and so to prevent those from unraveling, you have some insurance in a lot of different ways. So first you have those lines of sewing. In a wool yarn, it's typically very sticky, like this is a very sticky yarn, so the wool doesn't really want to unravel. But if you are using a slippery yarn, you want to make sure you have additional insurance that those stitches aren't going to get lost. And then usually you pick up stitches for a facing along either side of that steek. You can't even see my steek stitches because that facing gets folded over and stitched neatly on the inside. So this sweater had a big steek up the front and then steeks for each of the armholes, which you can see the facing stitched down there as well. For this sweater, the facing was actually knitted on as the last step of the sleeve, so it's connected to the sleeve itself. And then you cut the steek in the armhole, stitch the sleeve on, and then fold the edge of the facing over the steeked edge, over the raw edges, which are all underneath this white section. So after the steeking, I then went to the finishing. And with every garment, you have to weave in all the ends and do the blocking. And in this case, I used my steam iron to block it rather than doing a wet blocking, which worked out really, really well. I blocked it after I sewed the sleeves on, so not before, not while they were separate pieces. And with most knitting projects, you would be done at this point, but this is a very special project and we were far from done. So the rest of the finishing, which I will show you some footage of, included duplicate stitch embroidery all the way down the edge of the color pattern on the center, all the way around the bottom edge. On all of the sleeves, on both of the sleeves, there's duplicate stitch adding these different colors. And then also in the center medallion in the back, that's all duplicate stitch embroidery. The next step was adding the beads and sequins in the places where they do have charts that tell you where to place those, or you could put them wherever you wanted. And I suppose the final step is adding the buttons. This sweater also includes a crocheted button band that goes all the way around, and the neck band is crocheted. And that integrates the buttonholes with crochet that then fit these mother of pearl buttons just beautifully, and you have a nice center line. was a little bit surreal when it actually finished this garment because I didn't have to block it. I'd woven in my final end and the sweater was just done. And for something that has taken me as many months as it has, it was a bit bittersweet to be finished with it, but I absolutely love it. So you've seen some sneak peeks. Let's go see it on. Here it is, the Orange Albertine Jacket. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Orange Albertine Jacket from Sidsel Høivik. I highly, highly recommend Sidsel's patterns and kits. The materials are very high quality. The patterns are thorough, well written, comprehensive, walks you through every step that you need to know to get through this complicated project. And the end result is just an absolute treasure. So I will put the links to the pattern where you can purchase this kit or just the yarn if you're interested in that. Those will be in the description box below. But thank you so much for spending some of your creative time with me. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!